Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Wizard Wednesdays. Now, I have 2 espressos by my side and a green tea, and I recommend you have the same because we have a lot to get through in this breakdown. Now, I will not always be doing breakdowns this big, however, I did purposely put out there for you guys to request your own cryptos to be analyzed as well. Some of them I haven't even looked at myself, so we'll be breaking them down together in real time. I've plotted all the key levels ready, however, it's nice to actually not go in fully prepared and go in a bit more raw and break some of them down with you and kind of weigh out several situations. On top of that, there's a few of them like Engine, which have surged so much. It's not even about covering the targets, it's about covering the rationale and psychology behind the decisions on investments that have surged so much. Now, you're probably wondering what the hell is this on the screen. And by the way, I have just set up my new mic, so please let me know if this is good or not. If not, I will switch back to the traditional screencast method and not use an external third-party mic. Now, this has been brought to me, this article, just now before the breakdown, so I haven't even had time to look into it properly. However, I want to bring it forward and touch base now, and shout out Christopher Ness, one of my longest term followers actually. He's been there since day one, since the past business, and he did bring this forward. He's very, very involved in this stuff as well, and I'll actually give him a shout out for providing me this information, as I've been very busy setting up CryptoWZRD and recovering from certain things. So I haven't had too much time to get into the nitty gritty and really research what is going on in the crypto world right now. I've been more chart focused versus fundamental focused. So we'll actually kickstart this one with the PSD2. And first of all, there are 16 cryptos being covered in this breakdown today. So my head hurts even thinking of such a number, and I cannot wait to get through. I pump myself up for these breakdowns as if I'm Rocky Balboa with my hood up, punching the screen. You know, I'm very hyped for this. So let's go and kickstart with PSD2. I'm going to run through this article first of all, and the real RTS deadline is closer than banks think. Now, let's just run through this and think backwards. Most banks know this was in 2018, by the way, so it's a bit dated. However, it's very relevant for the current time being. So having a look and working backwards here, most banks know that the final deadline to comply with this regulatory technical standard is the 14th of September 2019. Very key dates, keep in mind it was 11 months away at the time and only several months away now. Moving forward, the amendments for RTS, however, based on the industry consultation and lobbying from third-party providers, there's another deadline for banks to negotiate, which is much sooner and far less talked about, March the 14th, 2019. Now, it's the 20th of March today, so we've actually gone past this already, and I need to look into this further before I can start giving you more articles, and I'll be doing that straight after this breakdown. But then, by that date just gone, the banks must have their dedicated interface, Open MPI, ready for testing by PISPS and the AISPs. Article 3.3.6 of the RTS states that banks which aren't ready for testing by this time must instead provide a contingency mechanism, which for most will mean formalizing their maintenance of a web-based online or mobile interface for TPP screen scraping. Now, pushing this all aside, I'll just script through many of this stuff. I want to go to the real juicy bits here. Now, maintaining 2 or more interfaces drastically increases the cost for banks. Each interface will require strict and ongoing monitoring and reporting for their local competent authority. For 2-tier banks, challenger banks, and foreign banks in the UK, all of which are resource stretched, this will further compound the serious RTS compliance burden that already includes delivering secure customer authentication, managing exemptions, identifying and managing TPPSs, developing the testing sandbox, creating documentation, etc. Now, the key word from that is to skip to the next paragraph and say, overall, it makes by far the most sense for banks to focus on supporting one secure RTS compliant API, especially when time is a factor. That sounds important, I know, but get to this bit. As is so often the case, partnership holds the key. Keyword here is partnership. There isn't really much of it available before March next year. Correct, there isn't, but there is now. Now, partnership holds the key. Keyword there, partnerships. Banks at this current stage in time, banks and financial institutions, they are actually in desperate need of partnerships. And of course, if you can gather what I'm saying here, cryptocurrency partnerships are essential. The banking system is prehistoric. We are running on prehistoric technology. We have not recovered from the economic crisis. This was covered in the podcast anyway, so please refer back to the podcast for more on that, as I want to jump to the charts fairly quickly. But I want to drop a very interesting bombshell here. Now, crucially, for smaller banks, they can also lower total cost of ownership by 70% compared to in-house development and implement in just 90 days. Now, it doesn't take a genius to work out here that there are only really two cryptocurrencies that are already offering and providing a ready-to-launch service such as this, and that is XLM and XRP. Now, I have my political reasons for not being too fond of XLM. However, it will be covered in this breakdown as well in terms of charts. But not just that, I've come to realize that instead of having this crypto war and trying to battle which one's going to win, the truth is they can both be winners. And regardless of which one starts gaining adoption first, it's paving the way for the market overall. And the banks are in desperate need of such a system right now. They're in absolute desperate need of such a system. And that makes me go on to my next point here, because I'm going to throw in a bit of a bombshell that many of you are probably not prepared for. So, the future of blockchain, FinTech 50 2019. This article was made last month, February the 4th, as the price of Bitcoin collapsed from last year, blah, 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 blah. Skepticism fell over many applications of blockchain, the technology that powers most cryptocurrencies, by recording transactions without a central authority. Now, much of the hype sounds too good. We know that, especially with the regulations trying to be set in. What remains, however, again, we've had ICOs obliterated, projects not finishing their deadlines. There is so much going on in the space that people are focusing on the negatives and not focusing on what has actually sustained time and what is proving itself again and again. Now, what remains, it says here, are proven teams flush with cash from mainstream investors and increasingly actual revenue. This brings me on to Axoni, New York City, as you can see here, using blockchain-based smart contracts to overhaul the back office of the world's biggest derivative markets. Its distributed ledger will allow counterparties to see payments, calculations, and other vital trade information in real time, improving efficiency and lowering risk. Already partnering with the world's biggest banks and financial intermediaries. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, Axoni is making R3 and Ripple right now, and everyone else in fintech look like little babies. They have actually made more moves than XRP and Ripple. Ripple. That's very big for me to say and very rich for me to say, because I'm such a big supporter and enthusiast of Ripple and the XRP technology and token. But the way it's looking right now is the new banking system infrastructure and the way they actually have the DTCC on lockdown, they very well could be paving the way and actually block Ripple and Stellar Lumens from seeing success. But here is the catch. Now let's go back. I just wanted to look at this one as well and show you guys something interesting. HSBC Bank invests in blockchain startup Axoni, raising the total funding to 36 million. Now, we don't need to go into this too much. However, they'll be using the funding to upgrade the data synchronization technology and expand the distributed ledger technology-based system called AxCore. Now, moving further, again, all of these ledgers, all of these distributed ledgers and the intolerable ledgers and all of this stuff that's going on in the space, we have to realize that it's no longer about the company that succeeds. We have to remember we're in the cryptocurrency space right now. And before I delve into that, actually, I'm on a bit of a zone right now from all these coffees. I'll mention this. Chris Larsen, as you can see here, one of the co-founders of Ripple and arguably the richest person in cryptocurrency, seems to be pretty active on the transaction side of things right now. So what's going on in my head? And Chris Ness, who DM'd me, actually suggesting this as well. It's either right now Chris Larsen is dumping or buying a shitload of XLM, as you can see here from the XRP transactions as well. I believe he does still have a very hedged interest in both. And using him as a good indicator, I mean, the guy's the richest guy in cryptocurrency. He knows the ins and outs. He's co-founded Ripple. He knows about the distributed ledger technology. We can use his actions as a fair indicator that something big is occurring. And I do truly believe there is going to be a massive revolution and a bit of surprise actually to many people who are invested in crypto, because even R3 alone, they have actually done more than what Ripple has truly done this whole time. And the goal here is not for Ripple to succeed. It's not for Stellar Lumens to succeed. I'm actually more than happy to see Axoni succeed, because the way things are working right now, and there's a lot of rumors spreading, I guess you could say, and circulating, that the core fundamental of this whole infrastructure that Axoni are building will be implemented and powered by a payment protocol, especially for cross-border transactions, to aid that 70% discount we covered in the prior article I just showed. Guys, it's either XLM, XRP, or both. This whole situation literally hinges on Axoni. It's the whole new framework for the global banking system, and there's just so much suspicion going on around this right now that they're actually very low-key. Axomi. Many people have not really been looking too well into it. They've been so focused on Ripple and Stellar Lumens, for example, and that's why I tried to find some more interlinks for you all, but haven't had enough time to look. What is really going on right now is low-key behind the scenes. You're seeing the likes of Forbes FinTech, Goldman Sachs, they're leading the funding round for Axoni, and we're not seeing enough attention around this. And what it's making me realize is maybe we're focusing so much on the companies themselves, but not focusing on the fact that the XRP token and the XLM token, they are ready to go. They have already proven their worth. They are ready to be adopted and implemented into the global banking infrastructure. So what I'm starting to think is Ripple may not be the successor. Stellar Lumens may not be the successor, but Axoni could actually be the successor here by implementing and successfully adopting the XRP and XLM technology. And I do truly believe right now, again, I will be doing more research into this, but just to touch base, very exciting times are ahead of us, and I do believe we are in store for a major shock, because at the end of the day, with XRP ready to go, there is nothing really stopping this market from just being adopted. And again, if XRP and XLM are used as a combination, this will drive the market in a way we have never truly seen before. There's a big push, and there is a bit of implications. Virtually no one is really covering this right now, but if this does come through, this could be absolutely incredible. So allow me to do some more research whilst we crack on with the breakdown, and then once I am done with some sufficient research, I will blast the living shit out of the Telegram and Twitter with my findings. But I am looking here at a very potential change in market bias and what could potentially be an entire revolution to the banking system and the infrastructure as we know it. So again, there's even XRP chat forums saying any threat here. The truth is, it's not a threat. There should never be a threat, because the technology is what's going to be used. It doesn't matter if Ripple doesn't become the global leader, because if their token is being used, or if Stellar Lumens is using the XLM token, that's all that matters. That is success. We are here in crypto. We are here to analyze the crypto market. We are here to make money off cryptocurrency. So it does not matter on the companies themselves, as long as the tokens that we have invested in gain adoption and utility, you are set for life. And this is why, shifting to this September period, many people, leads me on to my next point now, many people are asking me for my projections for 2020, for the future prices the cryptos can be. It does not matter. It really does not matter. As long as you have invested in a heavy project, a project with a solid backing, a working product, a working business model, a reliance dev team that are consistent, your tokens will do well. I've said this very well, and I've said this many times over, XRP will exceed over $100. It doesn't matter when it will. All it takes is that one click, that one cannon to fire, and the chain reaction and the catalyst that will occur will be phenomenal. Do not worry about when it will occur. Do not worry why it will occur. Just know it will occur, and it's already occurring behind the scenes. The economy is currently in a liquidity crisis. We have not recovered from the economic crisis and the financial crisis. We have just made things worse and covered them up with the likes of quantitative easing. Nothing has really been approved. The monetary system, all of this stimulus, all of this rubbish has not helped the world, to be honest with you. And I do believe this is coming to the point now where the financial crisis and the stock market plummet will occur again. And that's why I have whipped up the SPX and the S&P 500 index for this scenario, because after reaching all-time highs, before we actually started surging, I did believe around the 3,000 mark we would begin to pull up, and we did. We fell just short, and with such a round number, I believe many people were expecting the S&P to actually start reaching this number, and we fell just short. And once we plummeted down and started hitting these regions here around 2480 to 2460, I actually posted on Instagram, on both my prior business I was a part of and on my personal page, that we would be seeing a rally back up to around 2840 and 2880, and today we have spiked exactly to that region, and we are now pulling back lower. Now, that's not to say there will not be a spike higher. There potentially will be another attempt to break higher. But overall, I am satisfied with this movement. And you do not normally see the SPX move so rapidly upon a region. We've hit indecision straight pullback. Now, probably wondering, why is this necessary? Why am I covering this? Well, when you're looking at the world overall and you're looking at this whole economic issue we're having, the global liquidity crisis, whatever is occurring, I'm looking at what is potentially going to be another financial crisis and another recession occurring. And I truly believe this is already underway and we're already witnessing that happening in real time. And using the stock market and this index as an indicator, we are heavily overvalued. It's been 9 years of a bull run. Of course, not a cryptocurrency bull run, but 9 years of steady and, to be honest with you, overbought growth. We are now peaking, as you can see, a huge surge, pullback, consolidation around this zone. You do not usually see this. Now, when I'm combining this with the cryptocurrency market, many of you are asking me about my downside calls going to the total market right now on crypto. I have been projecting BTC to even fall to $1,000, and I'm still not ruling that out. However, for the short term right now, we are looking at a trend line that has never broken. We've broken out of this trend line as well. We are now holding, we are growing. The crypto market right now is pretty much at all-time lows after such a significant surge. Not all-time lows, but you understand we are very oversold right now. We've been plummeting and we're finally correcting from the regions we broke out from. A very good level to be in. Using the SPX as an indicator, we're very heavily overbought. Now, combining these together, we have one market reaching a peak of what is an actual bubble. We have one market that has not even peaked at a bubble. It's already pulled back and corrected. If it was a bubble, it would have died and never returned. And this is really starting to make sense to me now, because I do truly believe there is going to be a shift where all of these wealthy investors, and you have to remember the global elite, all of these people who profited from the financial crisis, whether it went up or down, they know the next moves. And there is going to be a major sell-off, I believe, coming very soon on this market. And I believe the SPX will actually correct around 50 to 60% from this region. And anywhere around this region, I do believe a huge correction is inbound. However, all of this capital that will be rushing out of the stock market, the global elite, they're smart people. They do not just take it out and go on holiday and go and buy a supercar. They actually reinvest. They actually move it to the next undervalued asset. And if you go over the total market cap right now, nothing screams undervalued to me right now like the crypto market that is breaking out as we speak. Now, before I get into the whole theory of why it could still hit $1,000 and what could potentially happen, because right now, if you lose XRP and BTC, if we fail to break these regions, again, I'm anticipating a huge breakout for BTC to 4,700, and I'm anticipating XRP to surge to around 37 to 40 cents, and I do truly believe that could unfold. However, even if we reach this region, and even if we do not, the downside bias still remains. XRP, if I go to the weekly, could very easily still fall down to 20 cents and lower. It's not unrealistic to expect. We are still in a bear market, and many people seem to forget that we are actually still in a bear market. It's very easy to get overwhelmed and focus on intraday moves that jump like this, but even with such a huge movement jumping from 28 cents to almost 65 cents and beyond, we still fell lower because we are in a bear market, and we must not forget the longer term picture. I've said this before and I will say it again. BTC, until we successfully breach, let me go to the weekly, even the monthly. Let's go to the weekly. Guys, resistance at $6,000. If you remember when I called the break from $6,000, many people were flabbergasted. They did not believe it would occur. They called me a scam, whatever happened. They did not believe it would come true, and it has. Since we broke $6,000, we've never retested this ground again. We still have lower regions here, $2,000, $1,200. They are all lines that have not yet been retested. Using these moving averages as another indicator, if we fail to break this zone here, then yes, we will just eventually plummet all the way down. We may see that spike, but we can still plummet all the way down. And until this is broken, clean, remember the last swing high was at $7,800 approximately. Until this level is breached comfortably, we are still in a bear market, and it will remain that way for a very long time. If I draw a trend line here, here is an excellent example of this market. We will see a short-term surge, I believe, but overall, we are still focusing on a downturn movement. And if you're using the facts that we have September 2019 as a regulatory compulsory date to be shifted, we have the stock market, heavily overvalued. I'm combining all these factors together, and if we are looking at some form of bullish momentum in 2020, then this makes perfect sense. Another short-term rally, potentially meeting a major long-term trend line. And then from there, we could still plummet all the way down. Because if we do see a very huge movement in 2020, which I do believe is very possible, especially with the whole regulatory shifts that are occurring and the fact that adoption is now surging at an unbelievable rate, I do believe this market could still surge and fall even lower. And I'm not going to disregard that yet, because I do believe Bitcoin can fall all the way to 2,000 and 1,200 before and in time for a 2020 bull run. Because again, if you are a wealthy investor, you're smart, you're calculated, you likely have insider information, you likely control the market. Why on earth would you buy at these regions when there is still so much room to fall and so much support to still be met and retested? We haven't retested these zones, and it's just now it's making so much more sense in my head. So even using this as a good example now, so the S&P, let me just drop that right there. I mean, honestly, this would not surprise me. Around 1600 for the S&P, it really would not surprise me. We have not really retested this since breaking out. A huge movement, and also a huge, absolutely huge. Let me just draw that. There are so many ways to draw this, but you get the picture regardless. This counter trend line, or this trend line right now, this could snap. And if this obliterates, let's just say we break this trend line, hasn't been broken since 2010. Since 2010 this has formed. If we break, we are very likely going to see another attempt to break higher, maybe 2.5, and we will likely correct over the next year to 3 years to this region here of around 1600. And I do truly believe this will be occurring. I believe the banks, the governments, the FIs are panicking. They know we are in deadly waters. They know the economy has not recovered. There is only so much longer this facade, or however you even say it, there's only so much longer this mysterious puppet show can continue before the world wakes up and realizes it's too late and something needs to be done. Now, I believe cryptocurrency was actually planned from the offset. I do not believe in this whole Satoshi Nakamoto bullshit and he's this mysterious guy that founded it. I truly believe the NSA and the CIA and even the US government overall founded cryptocurrency. And if you actually look at the Order of the Phoenix title, you may remember The Economist. I wrote a massive article on it. I do believe there is a hidden agenda to cryptocurrency, and it's also going to aid the wealth shift, as the elite have likely already accumulated in the masses on already own cryptocurrency, and if not, they'll be buying it now upon a potential stock market correction. And I do believe this is going to form the foundations of a new world order, and the next economic crisis, crypto will boom and the stock market will likely fall. So I do believe there is a massive agenda, and I do believe crypto was created by the elites in the first place to eventually sizzle out to a new monetary system and a new style of trading. So anyway, let's now move over to the charts themselves, BTC, and just look a bit on a longer day intraday perspective as well. So as you know, the way I work, BTC and XRP get the intraday trades as well, whereas the rest of the market, we focus more on the longer term targets and just be a bit more sensible. I do not like to trade what I do not trade, so I will not analyze intraday levels if I do not trade it myself, because then it will not be as precise as I would ideally like it to be. So using the BTC weekly, and I'll clean up this chart in a minute, it's because this is more for the daily and 4-hour purpose. Moving averages have been broken. We've now broken this trend line here. I'll get rid of that at last. Weekly trend line, this is the only thing holding us. We have the huge resistance here, $4,200. We have the moving average just above, confluencing as another resistance level. The trend line is also confluenced exactly at this zone. We have been holding this region since November 2018. Again, holding. The moving averages have finally curved over. We're back above. We're holding them as support, and we are now looking to obliterate this level. The other moving average, the longer term moving average, also holding as resistance. There is so much pressure waiting to be broken, and of course, if we do not see the break, we have to quickly switch bias and be prepared for a massive downside push. I'm heavily favoring the upside right now from this huge momentum that we're seeing. I do believe 4,700 to 4,800 will occur, but I'm also not attaching to my ego and being very prepared for a major downside push if we continue to fail and break these regions. But in saying that, right now, the daily, again, just holding this level, 4,120, has been holding for several days. We hit the first target precisely from this movement here. Great trade, and congratulations if you guys caught that. Now we're holding this level so precisely, it's scaring me. So again, downside targets to be cautious of as well. We have to just look here. around $4,050, and then looking at the moving averages and looking at the trend line here. Once this moving average slowly starts creeping to this zone here, I'll be much more confident. But I do believe there is a large blowout soon going to occur. Once this gets broken, I believe there should just be a quick retest. If not, it's flying straight to this zone here. Moving average on the daily confluencing quite nicely as well. So overall, focusing now on an upside bias. If you are looking to be a bit cheeky and go in for a short, just be careful. I mean, we are heavily rejecting this zone, so we could see a nice pullback maybe to this zone once again around 4,040, plus another trend line retest as well. But also taking this trend line into account, if it does break, it will likely retest around 4,200 and start plummeting lower. So we've got both sides covered. I am prepared for the best and worst case scenario. If I see too much weakness, I will simply just close my positions. I'm not going to try and catch a move that may not potentially work. But as of now, I am very promised and looking hopeful, especially with today's momentum. So focusing on this upside target right now, we have a clear resistance at 4,200. Again, intraday traders or short-term traders, if you're looking for a quick blowout, you don't want to make too much, you don't want to risk necessarily too much on a trade. 4,200, nice easy upside target. We've already met this one. I do believe with the momentum that's occurring right now, this should be relatively easy and a nice short-term trade. Going over to XRP, I'll draw that trend line again in a minute. Let's keep it nice and clean. Looking at this trend line now, we're holding, we have not broken. The spike was a big warning sign for me. Warning sign that there should be more upside momentum to come. Moving averages aligned with around 0.345, and of course the short-term resistance levels here that we should obliterate and start heading to 37 and hopefully even 39 to 40 cents. The weeklies right now, again, look at that curvature, the break above the moving averages. There is a lot of momentum coming. However, in saying that, I'm also prepared for the worst once again. I am not attached to my ego. The moving averages right now are holding beautifully. And if I drop down to the 4-hour first to show you what's been occurring today, you will see this a bit more precisely. So guessing this trend line, I believe it's this one. As you can see right now, we've held it perfectly. We have closed below, we are now here. I do believe this could pull back, maybe test this region here around 0.322 where the moving averages are, maybe even spike down to this level again. Now, if you've been following me in the Telegram, you would have seen that this level has been holding like no tomorrow. It has not given away once. It just continues again and again to hold its way, and it's been a very good indicator of more positions to be bought. So using this right now, of course, it is a clear warning sign we have not broken above, but for now I'm still certain this will occur, and I'm just being patient. I will extend this out a bit more because this has just been holding miraculously and could be another region to be cautious of for any downside spikes. But as of now, every call has come through perfectly, minus this huge movement here that wiped me out. Overall, everything has been working to plan. And if we just extend this out a bit more, I'll draw this properly in a bit from a longer term perspective. There is this downside region to be cautious of. And of course, we could see another spike and breakout as well. But in terms of breakouts, what I'm looking at right now, let's go back to the daily. Again, as you can see, it's now back below, but it does not mean the next candle can just obliterate straight through. Next upside target should be relatively easy around this zone here, 0.334 to 0.336. Once we have fulfilled these regions, we are going to start projecting what should be a very easy climb back and above, especially if 0.345 gets wiped out, then straight to 37 cents it is. I have absolutely no doubt about that. Now, you want to be a bit of an intraday trader, you want to maybe catch any moves. The reason I've been focusing more on the longer term move for this is because the upside potential is absolutely beautiful, and I have not been wanting to get involved in this mess. It's been very choppy. I've been getting in and out of positions quite frequently because I do not trust the way this market's moving right now, but I am still favoring the upside bias, hence why I've held my positions from around here, kept the stop losses nice and tight, and added a few more here in anticipation of a breakout. Any warning signs straight out, no doubt about it, and we can focus on what could be a potential downside breakout. For now, pardon me, all systems are favoring the upside bias. And again, if this holds, what is this right now? 3 hours left. Let's have a look on the intradays for now. As you can see, nice to see, broken above, rejected, held very well. This is now spiking lower. Moving averages are all here as well. As long as we are seeing consistent candle closures around this region, I will be much more confident to see a upside movement. We've got 3 minutes left on this, so we'll get back to that in a second as well. Again, I don't really use this too much, but looking at all of this movement right here, it could be a false reversal and a nice anticipated upside breakout as well. So again, please be cautious of these regions here. It's been holding well, so I'll just say for now, for the time being, just be cautious here. But ideally, even a quick spike to 0.322 and a reversal would be absolutely lovely. But looking at this as well, this is what caught my attention, is this huge resistance level as well we've broken out from. Finally broken above, retested, and within 3 hours, for all we know, this could just start blowing to the absolute roof, and not something I'm going to rule out as of now. So moving on to Ether, having a look at Ether, very similar bias. Again, no intraday real movements on this one. We're focusing on the dailies and weeklies for now. The trend line, again, with these, I'm analyzing them a bit more raw, a bit more on the spot. Let's just get this nice and drawn up there from the wick to wick. Has been holding quite nicely, as we can see. And from the downside perspective, we are in a very similar situation where the wedge is forming. Of course, always being cautious. We have the downside spikes. That wasn't very precise. We have these regions here, the more external trend line to be cautious of that I warned you guys about. But looking at this now, I actually marked this up just before the video. $140, very key level. It's held for support and resistance. It's holding us very well. We finally broke above, and now we're holding and rejecting this region from resistance turned support. So there is a lot occurring, and it does look like a very promising upside movement straight to this trend line here as well. Now you have to remember, just like XRP, when these trend lines are met, they can be done so with a very rapid force, and they can cause a fairly severe catalyst for a downside push. Looking at this right now, around $156 looks like a very nice target if you want to maybe catch a small intraday trade. But overall, I am just waiting for these trend lines to be met to further dictate what should be an absolute blowout. Now, as stated anyway, should we break out of that trend line, it's an easy movement to around $170. And even if we touch this trend line, I do believe there could be a $170 spike before closing back below this trend line, and then maybe it does end up reversing. But as of now, again, I don't want to go overboard with the trend lines, but I'm just giving you so many ideas on what is actually occurring right now. We are just squeezing. Price is getting so tight. It's on the verge of a breakout regardless. And it's quite interesting to see how tight price is getting in terms of suppression. And I do believe, by the way, people are asking me, why is XRP, BTC, Ether, all of these cryptos so low in value? Guys, it's called price suppression. It's called manipulation. Right now, prices are being suppressed very heavily. Otherwise, we would have rocketed ages ago. There is no explanation for such rocky price action. If you look, we're just fluctuating from 33 cents approximately, and we've been fluctuating back and forth from around 31.5 cents. It's just consistent manipulation again and again, and price is now looking to just pop. I believe they've been accumulating on the buy and sells, the institutions and the whales. I think they're ready to finally make a big movement to the upside. Now, switching to the weekly, once this loads. And by the way, guys, I have so many charts open. I do apologize if there's a slight delay in loading. My Wi-Fi is very rapid, but there are so many charts open, it's hurting my head even looking at them. So hopefully this updates itself now. That would be ideal. I would like to see this chart load. If not, I'll refresh. Let's try again. If Destiny's on our favor, the daily, let's go back to the weekly. Beautiful, there we have it. So if you look at the weekly as well, here's what's a real indicator for me of $170 coming back into play. I'll get rid of this, keep it nice and clean, and looking at this now, major resistance level, $170. It tapped during the last spike, and that does give me a bit of an indication. With that many sell orders there driving price lower, that tells me this region has a very strong resistance level, and there are many institutional orders at precisely this number. As I've said before, if price can spike to a specific number and reverse instantly, it means the sell orders were premeditated or the buy orders were premeditated. We've spiked, it's giving us a teaser of where price is currently failing to break. We've pulled back after breaking through $130, rejecting just as we were on the $140 region, broken, retesting, and it's been occurring quite consistently for Ether. So we're seeing some steady movements. The higher lows are forming very nicely as well, and I do believe a blowout is definitely going to occur. Now, should we break $170? Well, to be honest with you, I wouldn't even be surprised to start seeing $200 and even $230 coming into play. So I'm just being cautious, and again, downside targets, $130, be cautious of. We have got this trend line here. I'll make that even more accurate for you all. Just be cautious, please. Now, jumping onto LTC, let's go to the weekly. Very, very promising for me right now, and also aiding that decision. As you can see, the trend lines covered in the past video, we have actually fulfilled this target quite nicely as well, around $60, holding it very nicely. And as of now, we've broken above, we've pulled back down, and we are now pulling higher. And considering it's just Wednesday, we could be seeing that breach to around $80 very soon off that weekly candle alone. And again, just use the prior candles as example, guys. We move so rapidly on weekly basis that it's not unbelievable to witness such movements occur. So LTC is fairly simple for me right now. Again, using these external trend lines as another indicator, I am just a bit cautious of these downside spikes because there's more downside regions on these pairs in comparison to BTC and XRP. And using this as another example as well, again, I hate to be the trend line guy, but I am just using these on a real level. They're holding very well, but if they break below and we fail to break, then these trend lines could come into play first before excelling to $80. But again, using this on a more positive note, we've broken above, we've rejected, we've pulled back down, we're holding quite well. And if we see enough momentum on this daily candle, if I have a little look at the 4 hour as well, just a lot of consolidation, a lot of mess, quite a frightening time to be trading LTC, and it's why I stay quite clear, because when you're seeing prices at such a high right now, it's never wise to really be buying. You should have been catching the moves early on from the trend lines themselves. But in saying that, overall, I am still anticipating $80 to come through. And again, downside targets, any quick spikes should be around $54. Anything fairly more drastic, you can see these trend lines met, and any form of manipulative spike around $48. But nothing to fear right now. Things are looking promising. Again, everything we're looking at right now is at a major resistance level. So as you can see, there are a lot of factors coming into play that are stopping us from moving. This has closed back at the 32.4 region. So again, broken resistance still holding us support right now. I would like to see a fairly more optimal move, however. So we'll stay cautious on this as I am in the trade anyway. But with the 4 hour candle being the main focus, we could very easily see that blowout occur. Now, moving on to bat on the weekly, just as expected, we hit those targets very nicely. We spiked all the way to 0.22 cents, and now we are pulling back quite nicely. Again, following similar patterns. This is why I do not cover too many pairs, but for the sake of this video, we will. We obliterated around 18 cents. We spiked and peaked and hit our target. Pulling back down, we've now retested this region, and we have a nice trend line in play as well. So BAT actually doesn't have too much of a scary downside risk. We've actually looked very clean price action, obliterated that level, pulled back lower, retested as resistance, now found support, and we're slowly descending. So we could easily tap this region again. Very nice support level here around 18.5 cents. I do believe if this taps again, it could just be another quick catalyst movement to the downside. Worst case scenario, we're using this trend line as our guidance right now. So maybe around 17 cents should we see a fairly drastic pullback. Again, if we do see BTC and XRP fail to break out, we will have to adjust our levels and start taking into factor all of these support levels shown on the other pairs as well. So there's no one rule for one and one rule for the other. They are all moving in sync anyway, so it's pretty good to see on that level. So looking at this now, this needs to be broken, and I do believe it could be occurring very soon. Looking at this, absolutely beautiful in my opinion. Very small and significant breakout that could be occurring. Just bang, explode through, tap around 24 cents, and going to the weekly right now, 24 cents, nice upside target. However, I do believe should the momentum start surging, we will very easily see around 28 cents upon that explosion. So just paying special attention really to these specific regions and just making sure you do not get wiped out or too overexcited buying at the very highs. It's always good to just be cautious sometimes and wait out instead of trying to jump on board. And I'll get to that a bit later on with Engine, actually, because many people are asking me about Engine, and it's just like, you have to be a bit careful, you know what I mean? So ZRX, many of you like ZRX, and if you remember from the prior breakdown, this exact level, the box region that I covered, I'm going to extend this out a bit longer, although I am hoping for a breakout now. We are holding this level so well, and this is that price suppression I've been discussing. It's just failing to break out, but the magic of a trend line never seems to hurt anybody. What could be occurring in a quick sharp downside spike, looking on the daily, I won't even focus on the weekly really, to be honest with you. Downside spike could correlate quite nicely with that trend line as well, and just retaliate straight to around 34 to 35 cents. Looking at this right now, however, let me look at the 4 hour. I do believe it could just blow straight through. I'm just being a bit cautious, but looking at this right now, the momentum, it doesn't seem like it's going to be one of those false breakouts this time. I think the fact that it's actually holding precisely on this region without any false breakouts gives me a bit more of hope that the next candles could just boom straight through. So actually, I will use the weekly in this example as a good indicator. Right now, it has already fulfilled technically half that box region. It just needs to obliterate straight to 34 cents, and we could be in for some very nice movements. And of course, once we see these regions, we can evaluate further, but it wouldn't surprise me to see literally around 48 cents being met as well on the ZRX side of things. So overall, the market is moving in sync. We've seen a lot of upside pushes from these candles here. These weekly candles are giving me more indicators that all of these regions are looking to be exploded and broken from. Looks like a major reversal signal, to be honest with you, on the weekly, but I'm going to disregard that for now because the wicks are slowly inclining to the upside as well. So next, we have a look at GNT, a great call if I say so myself. We did fall just short of that 0.10 target, but it was covered in the prior breakdown, and we have technically seen that major upside movement occurring. The trend line holding very well. Again, I'll now extend this out into a further region. As covered in the prior breakdown, when we exploded from this region, we saw a short retest, slowly started inclining, and boom, all of these wicks here. This is just telling me again, huge manipulative sell orders here to push price down. I believe institutional traders right now are just trading back and forth on these moves before a huge catalyst upside surge. Again, seeing as we have technically fulfilled this region, I know some of you did trade GNT, or if not, you sold your physical holdings around these regions and made some good money. So again, kudos if you did, because that takes some serious testicular fortitude to sell your holdings, and never sell 100% of your holdings or even 50% of your holdings trying to make a flip. Just be realistic, be sensible, and sell 10-20% if you want to try and flip your holdings and have more physical coins in your portfolio. So looking at GNT right now, very simple stuff. Weekly time frame, just rejecting again and again and again. Would like to see one more push at least to test that if we're not going to breach higher, and then you can catch your short to maybe 0.05 once again. But using the alts actually as an overall bias and looking at the total market cap, now that the total cap has broken through here, for me there is not much downside pressure right now, and it is not really an alarming sign for me. BTC, I mean, this thing just looks like it's going to absolutely explode. XRP, it's still holding, as we can see here. Maybe from this 1 hour candle now, it just blows straight through to around 0.334. That would be absolutely beautiful. But again, back to the weekly quickly. Sorry, I got distracted. Having a look at these levels right now, the market has found a very nice bottom. And when you're correlating these with the altcoins, a lot of alts, especially the likes of GNT, ZRX, IOTA and stuff, they have found a very solid bottom in comparison to the rest of the market. And realistically, these projects are not going to die. So you cannot look at these and think, oh God, you know, the market, if it falls lower, it will go to like minus. It will not happen. It does not work that way. If the project is solid and they're actually working and they're sustaining through time, you do not need to worry about seeing them fall into a minus, because if they're solid, that will not occur. But looking at how we have actually bottomed already at such a low price, using this in correlation with the rest of the market, it's very likely we are going to see the altcoin rallies much more ahead than BTC. I do believe there is going to be an altcoin surge versus a BTC surge, and I'm still waiting. Again, I actually forgot to cover this. I've been talking so much. I do apologize. Coin market cap over here still fluctuating, but the BTC dominance is falling. The market's falling. We are seeing the likes of IOTA, Monero, and Ontology. I'm not even sure what that is. Doing pretty good. Not bad to see. Tezo's doing pretty good. Zcash. There are a lot of altcoins doing fairly good. BTC isn't sustaining too well. XRP is pretty much break even. Ether's not doing too good today, and EOS and the rest below are not doing too good either, including Stellar. But overall, with the BTC dominance slowly but surely falling, going over to Yahoo to use the real market cap. Please use this for market cap from now on. XRP is second in my eyes and always will be. The market caps right now are fluctuating pretty steady. And for me, that is another sign that with such a steady fluctuation and consistent consolidation in market cap, I do believe there is a big upside explosion coming. Using the altcoins as indicators here, we have fairly well hit a bottom for the time being. And with BTC, this has been my biggest argument for so long now. If I go to the monthly time frame, although we have reversed, it's very likely, and this is why I'm not holding BTC and will not be holding BTC anymore, or ever for that matter, is because the downside targets, the altcoins are bottoming. I mean, look, GNT, let's go back to that weekly for a second. This is why I'm not holding Bitcoin, because the altcoins have absolutely died. Whereas BTC, there's all of this room. I mean, look, before we broke out, It's around $1,200. That's why I'm so predominant on this level. We spiked during the first ever BTC surge, 2013, pulled back, held this level. Did we fall lower? No, we obliterated. And again, another reversal signal there as well, very similar to ZRX. It's just very common to see false reversal signals. And for me, it's trying to be a bit more woke and a bit more ahead of the market and try and anticipate. Remember, the market is set out to catch you out. The market manipulators, those that control the market, their goal and agenda is to set up key candlestick formations that every trader around the world uses and looks for, but more likely than not, they will not sustain. So it's all about flipping your bias, and whatever looks bullish right now or bearish, sometimes it's actually smarter to do the inverse. And that's how I've managed to be getting such precise calls over the past few weeks. And especially when we had 5 in a row, I was simply doing the inverse of the market and just looking at several different factors. Now, this is the ARC chart. Many of you have been requesting ARC, so I brought it back. ARC is looking like a very promising project. Again, nothing, just because I do not cover these pairs, by the way, it does not mean they are not promising. It's just very time consuming to analyze so many cryptos in once. As you can see, I don't even know how far we are into this breakdown, but as you can tell, it does consume a lot of time, plus rendering, etc. It's just easier for me to focus on what makes me money and let the portfolio fluctuate in the background. Now, using the moving averages on ARC as a good example on this weekly, again, pretty much hit a bottom, guys. Look, we broke out from here. Again, that was the same as the BTC region, if you want to be theoretical. We tapped it, we pulled back higher. We've come back, we've rejected the exact same region. And what I'll do is, downside targets, of course, let me just mention this before I start breaking out. Downside targets for ARC, should we see any downside movements, is around 50 cents. Let me just push this lower as a good example of a perfect breakout, retest, come back lower, bottomed again. Wicks, using the Wicks as an example, moving averages for the first time ever on the weekly are finally looking to cross back to the upside. We're holding it as guidance. We are spiking. We could see a very rapid movement occurring. 3 Wicks have been attempting since January 2019 to breach higher, and it's looking like we are going to see that unfold very soon. First easy upside target is 80 cents, with the next upside target being a very simplistic $1.2. An easy 100% gain from this point onwards, even if you are just buying the physical ARC. As you can see, 3 Wicks rejecting. Oh god, it's time for another trend line, courtesy of yours truly. So, bang, trend line. Oh god, another one. Let's just get that there. Again, we are in that region. So if we break lower, of course, we'll likely retest this trend line around 0.60 and breach back down to this level. But right now, with such an attempt, a pullback, just tap here and absolutely bolster to around 1.2. And I do truly believe that should be occurring very soon as well. Now, we are running quite short on time, guys, and there is a few more to cover. Looking at BNB, as I said in the prior breakdown, look at this weekly right here. You may not notice, but there is a resistance level there that I had marked. Now, we've pulled back, we've rejected this region, and this is why I said do not buy at the highs and dump into FOMO. And the same goes for ENG as well. The good old ENG. I have not even bought it or covered it, but looking at it now, it's not really worth buying too much right now. So looking at the prices and being a bit more realistic, again, this could very easily, now it's just broken through, rejected, this could fly straight to the next upside target of $17, but I'm just remaining a bit cautious. I mean, looking at this right now, after such a magnificent surge, it wouldn't surprise me if it just dies all the way down to 12. Not really dying, it's not too much of a significant move, but you get my point. And again, the magic of trend lines, look at the correlations there. I would just be cautious because right now you've got this forming as well. I mean, it's breaking out right now as we speak. It could just break, maybe tap this region again and start coming through. So just be cautious of the downside after such a huge movement. This is what I'm just cautious of now. Upside target is $17, but I'm just being so wary of these regions, and something you should all be cautious of, because if this falls to around $12, you found yourself an excellent opportunity to buy and double your money when you see that reversal up there as well. So just a little update on BNB, just wanted to cover that one. Now, IOTA, I do apologize, this chart, it has for some reason all these weird boxes I marked up from almost like 2 years ago now that are still holding well. So actually no, was it 2 years ago? It bloody was 2 years ago. Wow. So although we've got the wizard color scheme, I have not changed anything on this, but seeing as it's held the test of time, I'm going to leave this up. As you can see, I obviously have much cleaner charts these days. I do not focus on all this mess. Let's just get that back to the daily. I want to keep watching these as well as we do the breakdown. Again, it's just looking very promising right now. 4 hour, how's that beautiful 4 hour looking for me right now? Not too promising, but not a problem. So IOTA, looking at IOTA on the weekly, look at this again, bottomed. It's finally found its bottom. We are not near minus, we are not going to breach minus. If that happens, then I'm not really too sure what to say, but I'd say 99% that is physically impossible for such projects like this to ever go wrong. So again, breaking out, rejection, we've tapped several times now. We have truly found the bottom. And we are looking at what is occurring again, a slow curvature. Moving average is finally looking to cross over to the upside once again after such a long time of being in the downside. So again, curving over, we're breaking above the moving averages. We found our bottom and we have the MA here. Once we breach 0.345, we have a nice easy upside target of 47.5 cents. From there, the surge should correlate straight to around 60 cents as well. So from this region, you are looking at a fairly easy, if successful, 100% ROI. And that is the same for the majority of the market. I do believe there is going to be a fairly easy few 100% thrown here and there throughout the market. So dropping down to the daily, there's not too much to really focus on right now, except that the moving averages have been crossed to the upside. We are guiding them right now. The MA over here as well, there you go, is that 46 cents region. Nice easy upside target. And if you want to be the guy or girl that holds a little bit further and breaches that zone, then by all means do so, but just be cautious because it is a nice easy move. And this correlates with the rest of the market. All of the markets right now and the pairs are aiming at these moving average regions before potentially falling lower. So my biggest factor right now is just waiting for these to occur because, again, moving average just above XRP, moving average. Let's get the daily up. Where's the MA? It's over there. So, again, we can see that movement correlate and then the whole market tumbles lower again. And that's why I'm being cautious. But I do believe before the downside occurs, this upside push should be on the cards. Now, jumping over to ADA, I've never covered this before. Very similar. We found the bottom, and I'm using the Binance chart for now. There isn't too much prior price action to go off, but very easily we can see what's occurring. We've curved over, moving averages again, looking to cross over, rejected and found our bottom. Several months of rejecting this zone. We're finally breaching higher, breaching through the moving average with one final support barrier of 0.06 located just above. What happens from there? A very easy 0.07, and hopefully what I'm expecting. We go to the daily now. As you can see, guiding just like the IOTA chart I just showed you, straight to that region of 0.07. Wow, I am definitely talking too much. And from that region, we can very easily expect almost 0.1, but I do believe it should peak around 0.09 for the time being. Again, as of now, little intraday level here as well if you want to just focus. It's been holding up quite nicely. So all we really need is a break here, and we should break pretty clean up to this region. And for now, I will actually just get rid of that. I don't think it's too necessary. It's more a distraction. I believe if anything, we could tap, maybe pull back and reach this region and then start plummeting. I just said plummeting. I meant surging to this zone before potentially pulling back lower. Now, excuse me, Syscoin. Many of you have been requesting Syscoin, so of course it would be good to cover this once more. Now remember, I will not be covering these all the time. I'll always be switching between what's looking the best, but for the sake of this video, this Goliath video, we are going to cover many pairs. Now, first thing that sticks out to me on Syscoin is a huge and easy upside target. Another beautiful trend line. As you can tell right now, I'm in trend line heaven. We have found a fairly good bottom. Broke out from this region. Again, there is a bit of a downside to take into consideration should we see the market reverse. Hence why I believe Syscoin, should we see a pullback, could most likely and definitely start seeing a region of 0.01 as well in a worst case scenario. But as of now, easy upside target, very simple. We need to break 0.06, ideally where we are now in this highlighted region, and straight to 0.1 we go. Trendline retest there. Two scenarios. Again, once we get there, we can dictate should we get there. Instant pullback, maybe see around 0.08 met and we just obliterate, or of course we can just use this as the reversal to then take us down to that zone one final time over the course of several weeks or months, and then the market reverses in sync. If not, we see a straight blowout to around 0.15, retest this region, which I do believe is very likely, and then we can start increasing to the likes of 0.20, 0.19. So overall the market's looking promising if you cannot already see. So let's jump onto a new one. Very controversial for me to be covering this one, but again, using BTC as an indicator, if I just go back, I know I'm doing this quite a lot, but it is giving a little insight, hopefully, into what I am looking at here in the market and why I believe altcoins may have bottomed a bit more easier and a bit faster than BTC truly has. I do believe a lot of capital, if BTC drops, will be shifted to altcoins and cause an incredible altcoin rally. So using this as a clear indicator like XLM, very similar, except this has actually been fulfilled. So this is what I've been trying to say this for almost 2 years now. We have to remember this hasn't been tested, whereas XLM has, and so has XRP. It's been holding that trend line. Now use that in line with the likes of Axonis and all the stuff that I've been mentioning. Well, we could truly be in for a huge rally on XLM and XRP in particular. Hate to do this, but there is another trend line here. Needs to be broken. Very simple stuff. Oh, got a bit excited. There we go. Again, easy upside target for XLM right now. We're looking at about 0.15, very similar on the weekly. Break above, tap 0.20, retest this region here, and just start flying to 0.30. It's looking very simple. If not, we hold the trend line. It will be the third bounce, so it is normally a make or break region. And if it does drop us lower, then we can just focus back on this region again, and maybe peaking around 0.05 as well. So very similar stuff, but as you can see, a nice little rally would not hurt anyone, and a nice upside explosion would be welcomed with open arms. So here's a little intraday insights for you all. Broken above, rejected, just like XRP is right now. Being cautious, of course, of any downside spikes, but again, I do believe there is just that momentum right now to obliterate prices higher. So I'm hoping we can see a very rapid breach to the upside as well, and take into consideration all those levels. Now, last but not least, we have reached the end of our breakdown. We are now going to cover the Engine coin. The reason I want to cover Engine, many of you have asked me about it, and I want to actually use this not really too much for technical analysis, but just to say as a warning, be careful. Now, as I plotted these levels, it's actually pulling down as we speak. We are at a key level of 0.2. Price has failed 3 times now to reject this region on the weekly. A very strong indicator that we may have seen too much momentum for the time being, and I'm actually not going to really give too much of an upside bias on this. As much as it may come through, and it is looking nice on the daily, as we've broken above, retested, we could be seeing a breach higher. Again, nice easy target for you all. Pulls back maybe to 0.17, absolutely rockets to the upside. Oh, would you look at that? It does not end. More price consolidation and tightness, looking like a major possibility to absolutely rocket to the upside. So using that as consideration, if you want to see an upside break, please be cautious. I would not be buying around these regions. Major resistance level, failed to break twice now. And again, pull back to maybe this region, bang, we fly higher. All good, let it be. But using the weekly time frame and the fact we've seen such huge momentum to the upside, I personally do not buy after such surges. And the fact that so many people ask me, is it a good time to buy? I mean, listen, at the end of the day, this is a long-term market. We're not here to make money in the short term unless you're day trading XRP or BTC. Using these long-term investments, it should be a span of 2 to 5 years at least, I assure you. You want to be here once the adoption has occurred. You want to be in before adoption occurs, because once adoption has occurred, it's far too late, my friends. I promise you that. So having a look at this now, downside wise, after such a huge movement, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see 0.12 come back into play before maybe pulling higher. I'm just not confident on it right now. I mean, the 4-hour time frame as well, it's just not worth the risk for me. Yes, it may surge and you may miss out. That's fine. I am not one to get sucked into FOMO. I would rather not be involved than know I could receive such a substantial loss of almost 50% of my holdings if it does pull back to this region. It's just not worth it for me. Yes, it can explode, but then to make 100% of your money has to reach here. Whereas to lose 50% of your money has to fall just there. The risk to reward is just not worth it for me. And it's always worth calculating that before delving deeper and taking the plunge on investments. It's very easy to jump on board because you're seeing gains, but it's likely by the time you want to buy, the market is already exhausted. Once you've missed, getting out of hand here. Once you've missed the initial surges, you've likely already missed the boat, and it's now best to be patient and wait for a pullback. Again, I'm not giving financial advice. I'm not saying it's going to die. It may very well just rocket to the moon, but I'm just saying for me personally, I prefer to just stay out. There are opportunities everywhere in this market, and it's best to just stay clear for the time being. Now, guys, I'm not even sure how long this breakdown's been, but I feel we have covered an incredible amount of content. We've even touched base on the future of what could be a whole revolutionary shift in the monetary system as well. And I'll be hammering the Telegram with some more research and information once I've got this all uploaded and rendered. And I'll be doing some more research throughout the evening, because as of now, I'm currently going to bed around 5-6 a.m. in the morning, because I am working on the website and many other exciting features that I cannot wait to share. But for now, I will keep it all discreet. I will not throw my cards out there. I do not want anybody taking my ideas, because they are going to be incredible. But more importantly, I hope you have enjoyed this breakdown. I'm very happy to be back in the swing of things. Again, please spread the word, share, let your friends know. Do not be afraid to like and comment, and let me know what you want improving, what you want covered in the next breakdown, whatever you guys want. I am here to cater for those needs. So essentially, this is a hotline service where you let me know what you want. I will cover those needs with no issue. So guys, it goes without saying, I hope you've enjoyed Wizard Wednesdays. It's been a phenomenal and my biggest one ever. I hope you have a great week, and remember, the podcast will be there on Sunday to keep you in the loop regardless. Now guys, have a great day. Hope you're all happy, and hopefully we see some upside movement from the likes of XRP, and we can have a very profitable end to the day as well, which would be fantastic. So guys, I will see you very soon in the Telegram.